This lesson is going to be looking at solving absolute value equations. Just as a review, this is the symbol for absolute value. You have a number inside, such as 2. What the absolute value of 2 means is it's the distance that a number is from 0. So if this is 0 on the number line, that's 1, that's 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2 because the number 2 is 2 spaces from 0. If I did it the opposite direction, I said the absolute value of negative 2. I have 0 still in the middle, then I have negative 1, negative 2. Negative 2 is here. How far is negative 2 from 0? It's 2 units as well. So as you can see, the absolute value is the distance that a number on the inside of these symbols is from 0, and it can never ever be negative because it measures distance, and distance cannot be negative. So when you have an absolute value equation, it tells you here that the absolute value of x minus 2 is equal to 5. So we know that the number inside the absolute value symbols has to either be positive 5 or negative 5. So to begin to solve this, we have to set up 2 equations. So the equation is exactly what is inside the absolute value symbol, in this case, which is x minus 2, and then both of them are the same, x minus 2, but the difference is what it's equal to. Like I just said, the inside between the absolute value symbols can either be positive 5 or negative 5. So my equations are set up to equal either positive 5 or negative 5. To find the solution, we then need to go ahead and solve the absolute value equations. So I have the first equation, x minus 2 equals 5, and the second equation, x minus 2 equals negative 5. To solve both equations, we would add 2 to both sides of the equation. Minus 2 plus 2 is 0, so they cancel each other out. I'm left with x. And then 5 plus 2 is 7. Again, minus 2 plus 2 cancel each other out. I'm left with x. And negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. So our solutions to this absolute value equation is that x is equal to 7 or x is equal to negative 3. Now, this one is a little bit more complicated because you also have something outside of the inequality symbols. You have the minus 5. In order to set up your 2 equations for the absolute value equation, you have to first have the absolute value isolated. So that means I have to get that minus 5 on the other side of my equation first. So to do that, I have to add 5 to both sides. The minus 5 plus 5 is 0, so they cancel out. Then I'm left with the absolute value of 2x minus 7, and then my equal sign, and 4 plus 5 is 9. So now I have the absolute value isolated. So now I can create my 2 equations. So I have what's inside the absolute value symbol, 2x minus 7 and 2x minus 7. And then remember, that can either equal positive 9 or it can equal negative 9. Because the absolute value of 9 or negative 9 is equal to 9. So now I can go ahead and solve both of these equations. So the first thing I want to get rid of is the minus 7. So the opposite of minus 7 is plus 7. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. Minus 7 plus 7 cancel each other out, and I'm left with 2x is equal to 9 plus 7, which is 16. On the other side, I add the 7, just like before. Minus 7 plus 7 is 0, so they cancel each other out. I'm left with 2x equals, and then I have negative 9 plus 7, which is negative 2. To solve both equations for the last step, I need to take both sides and divide by 2. These two 2's cancel each other out, so I'm left with x. And then 16 divided by 2 is 8. I divide these both sides by 2. The 2's again cancel out. I'm left with x. And then negative 2 divided by positive 2 is negative 1. So my solutions to this absolute value equation are x equals 8 and x equals negative 1.